First, I just want to say a big thank you and appreciation to my fellow patriots here, Sir Trevor, Sigma, Smongile, Victoria in her absence, and all the ones that are here watching the live. Just want to say thank you, first of all, guys, for standing firm and defending South Africa with all the amount of vigor, strength that you're showing. I must first say that it's quite disappointing to come into a live like this with fellow Africans where you would think that their aim is probably just to listen and then take a few things where they differ respectfully. Where they want more insight, they can ask us to give them more insight, because we are talking about South Africa here. Therefore, you cannot talk about something that you don't know, that you have not experienced. So we are here talking about South Africa, and people think that by swearing at South Africans, calling us names, threatening us, and saying all these rude things, that is going to change what's happening on the ground. Unfortunately, we're not at that level right now. We're at a level where if other African countries want to do better for themselves, this is their opportunity to learn. Now, it's either you're learning how to do the same for your own country, or you're learning how to assist the people in South Africa to come back to your country and do what we're doing for ourselves. The biggest misconception that African people in African countries have is that this fight is about them. So they take themselves and they put themselves in the middle of what we're fighting for. The problem is we had a government that made promises to us post-apartheid. Those promises included jobs for South Africans. They included a better life. They included stability. They included an economy. They included making the lives of South Africans better. And unfortunately, that's not where we are right now. Now, the reason we're not here where we are is, of course, a number of reasons. But right now, the major stumbling block that we face is other Africans working against us in our plight to hold our government accountable. I'll give you an example. So here we are fighting for the minimum wage in South Africa, where we say that South Africans should not work like slaves in their country. They should work for a certain time and get paid a certain amount, because we know how a capitalist system works. They will treat the people who are poor less than nothing, while the rich make more money than everyone else. So while we're busy fighting our government, there comes those other Africans walking into our country desperate because their countries have crumbled. And when they walk into South Africa, they say, oh gosh, South Africans don't want to take 200 Rand for the minimum wage per hour. I'm going to take 50 Rand and I'm going to work like a slave. Now that makes you counterproductive to the revolution and to a Black South African. You are not Black South Africans. You're not fighting alongside Black South Africans. You're working against us. You are counter-revolutionaries. And all of that history that you're giving us about how you helped us during apartheid does not work right now, because you are operating exactly like the apartheid government. You are oppressing South Africans alongside the very same white people that you keep asking us about. So you're here saying white people this, white people that, but you are here in South Africa groveling at white people, working for them like slaves, like your lives depend on it. And you would basically eat at their feet if they ask you to. But you are asking us why we are not chasing white people away. How are we going to fight white South Africans when you Black Africans are working against us? You are the very reason that we as Black people are not getting that land that we want for ourselves. Because you come here and you start being the Black version of the Black version that white people like. And then you turn around and pretend that we are the problem when we are not the problem. And you turn around and ignore your countries as though they don't exist. Africa has the greatest minerals in the whole world. We have more wealth than any other race, but you do the typical black people thing and you sell off your own people and then pretend as if you're on our side. And then want us to be the very same people that defend you and stand next to you and be by you while you are here in our country selling us out to the very same white people that you're asking us about. White people did not come here in South Africa and sell drugs. It's you as black people. You do not go to those white people hospitals when you come to South Africa. Tell the truth. You come to the black people's places where they live. You take over the places where they live and you leave white people to enjoy their white people lives. So why are you asking us about white people? Because you are working alongside them. You are the traitors that you pretend that you're not. And then you want to look good to the rest of Africa by busy calling us names and swearing us and telling us that you helped us during apartheid. What was the point of helping us during apartheid if you're going to come back now and sell us off to white people? We are fighting white people now. We have to fight with you. Why do you refuse to come into our country and do the good things that other African people do? We want African people to come into our country and be doctors and be nurses and contribute to our economy. That is not what you're doing, and you know it. 60% of all serious crimes in Johannesburg, Gauteng, are committed by foreigners. And this is statistics. Why are 60% of you in our country committing crimes? Because you're not here to contribute to make black people better. You want us to accept that you're going to do any crime and every crime, and we must smile at you because you want us to be reminded that we're all black. Yes, we are all black, but we're not the same. You're not the same like us. We were taught in our culture to respect our neighbors' homes. That's why you'll never find us going to Nigeria or Zimbabwe, even right next door, without proper documentations. Because we know what it's like to be a good neighbor. You are like the neighbors who, every time something goes wrong, you blame your neighbors. You want to witchcraft them. You want to starve their children. You want every bad thing to happen to their children just because you don't want to accept that you are the one that's supposed to go out there and work. So you sit here and you clap hands for each other and say, oh, Stana is amazing, Stana this. But one day reality is going to come back to you and history will judge you heavily for the curse that you've brought upon yourselves into our country. So you can clap for yourselves all you want, but your children one day will know of what traitors you were, and you sold off black South Africans to white people because you wanted to look like the better slaves than we are. We're not going to be slaves anymore, and we're going to be fighting for our country. And I don't understand why you guys do not want to understand this, that when a person no longer wants you in their country, we didn't wake up in the morning and say, oh, we don't want foreigners in our country. It's been 32 years of us keeping quiet while you've been running down our places, giving our children drugs, selling drugs to them, and then coming back and acting like victims. Right now, there's a young boy who's missing because you have come in from Somalia and work with Pakistanis and are terrorizing locals who are trying to open businesses in their own country. And the way you are so disgusting as human beings, you don't ever tell those stories because they don't favor the narrative of you being victims. You want to scream and shout on top of the world for everyone to hear you crying because you want to be victims. But what about the many lives of South Africans that have been lost at your hands? At your hands. When do you sit back and take accountability for the things that you've done to ruin South Africa? We are not crazy people in our heads here. We didn't just wake up in the morning and say, oh, we're tired. There's millions and millions and millions of you. You take over buildings everywhere that you are. You can't even admit to basic things like you are filthy. Like, just admit it. We are not clean people. You guys don't like cleanliness. You don't like being clean. And now we have to teach you the most basic things about cleanliness while we're fighting for our country. And when we're fighting for our country, you are the same people, same bunch of people that are screaming to the rest of the world that South Africans are xenophobic. Why? Because you like being victims. It's your thing. You come here, you're crying, oh, we said we're refugees. You are not refugees, you're just scared of your government. And that's why your government beats you up and hits you and treats you like rubbish, because they see that that's the behavior that you only understand. And when we come to South Africa, we treat you decently like human beings. Then you treat us, you reverse the psychology now. You make us regret having treated you like human beings. If you know the struggles that South Africans went through apartheid, that you claim to know and you claim to have helped us with, why are you here suppressing us? Why are you here punishing us for being good people and allowing you to our country? Just because we allowed you into our country doesn't mean now the whole of Africa must come here and just do what they want. If we don't allow you to do that, then we're xenophobic. You guys are oppressors. You must stop calling yourself victims. You are oppressors, and you are here trying to oppress us in our own country. And the sooner you admit that, the better. I'm telling you, your children will suffer because of the things that you're doing in our country. The same God that you're always telling us is going to punish us for standing up for our country is a God that would have freed you in your own country by now if you would have used that energy in your own country. God is not a fool. You're not going to gaslight us by telling us about God anymore. If you knew God, you would have stayed in your country there in Nigeria where they are killing Christians right now. You can't even speak up for those poor Christians who are being slaughtered every single day because you're rushing to come to South Africa and sell us drugs. You're rushing to come here and prostitute women because that's the only thing that you know. Then you jump to tell us about Zulus this and white people that and Zulus that. If you know the difference between Zulus and white people, why is it so difficult for you to unite as your Rubies and Igbos and Shonas and Debeles in your own country and stand up for yourselves? You can't even stand up for yourselves. What kind of men are these that rush to come to TikTok lives, but you can't even do a single thing to stand up for yourself and your children? Your children are going to ask you what you did for them because in South Africa, they'll never have an identity in South Africa. You can call them Saugerians, you can call them all kinds of fancy names. They will never have a South African identity, and we will never stop fighting for the South Africa. That is one thing that you must know. You can go and scream at BBC channel, on CNN, on whatever channels that you want. You South Africans are used to taking things for granted. You go to Europe, you embarrass us in front of white people by crying and marrying old women just to get citizenship. What kind of disgusting people can't even use the amount of wealth that God has blessed you with to bless yourself and your children and create a wealth for them? All you know is to let your leaders who are taking you for a ride hit you like little children. They beat you up. They've got wealth in their hands. They're making their families rich. You can't even stand up for yourself and speak for yourself. And you want us to carry that burden for you. We're not carrying that burden for Africa anymore. We are going to shut down this country, and we are going to make sure that this country works for our children to survive. We're going to make sure that we don't become a Zimbabwe where you can't even speak for yourself, or else you start running away like little chickens. You're not going to allow us to go through that because you are afraid of your government. Go and deal with your government and stop pretending as if you are victims here. You are not victims. You are just people who are cowards, big cowards with a big mouth in other people's countries. I just want to say in closing, they don't care, first of all, about South Africa. Second of all, the truth is that they would love to see South Africa fail. When Donald Trump said he's going to attack South Africa, they were the first people to celebrate. So all in all, we are being forced to accept people in our country that hate us. That's the honest truth. There's no xenophobia in South Africa. They know that. They just do not like South Africans. And why do they not like South Africans? Because we are doing better than they are. Because we have a backbone, we can stand up for ourselves. Because we are not weak like they are. We have pride, something they don't have. We know where our rights take us.